NFL teams try and improve their roster every offseason in order to win a Super Bowl. Some teams are a lot closer than others to achieving that goal, but the goal for all 32 teams is the same: to be on top of the podium on Super Bowl Sunday with the confetti flying down and to celebrate with their families and teammates after years upon years of hard work and sacrifice. But not every NFL team is on the same timeline in terms of achieving that goal. Some, like the San Francisco 49ers, are Super Bowl contenders year in and year out and are in win now mode. Other teams are in a rebuilding stage and have some good young talent, but are looking to get better so that they can get to the playoffs and be able to compete for a championship. In today's video, we will be discussing 4 of the most improved teams heading into the 2024 NFL season. Some will be obvious, while there may be 1 or 2 you may not immediately think of, but they most definitely improve their roster from 23 to 24. Now, just because they are improved from last year to this year does not automatically mean they are going to be Super Bowl contenders. What they did, though, was give their organization a chance to compete week in and week out, which is more than what you could have said about them at times last year. But with that preface out of the way, let's dive right in. We are starting today's video with the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals finished the 2023 season with a 4-13 record, but I think the Cardinals are a lot better than what their record from last year suggests. When discussing the 2023 Arizona Cardinals, you have to remember that they didn't have their starting quarterback for the first 9 games, and the 1-8 record during that time shows that. There's not a lot of teams that would have a good season despite their starting quarterback missing more than half of the year. But they finished the 2023 season by going 3-5 in their final 8 games, and their kicker, Matt Prater, yes, he's still around, missed 2 field goals in the final 3 minutes of the Week 18 game against Seattle. So the truth is, this team was inches away from being 4-4 with Kyler Murray as their starter during the 23 season. But during the 2023 draft, Giamatti Ozenfort was laying the groundwork for the loaded 2024 class, as he made 2 big trades during the 23 draft to give them extra ammo for 2024. The most notable one, of course, was the one with the Texans, in which Houston sent their first-round pick to Arizona, and the other was the Titans trading their 2024 3 so they could go up and get Will Levis. When it was all said and done, Arizona had 7 selections in the top 90 and 8 in the top 104 overall picks in 2024. They selected my number 1 player in the class in Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr. with the 4th overall pick, and anything you've heard about Marvin regarding how good he is completely warranted. He is the best player I've ever evaluated, and if he plays all 17 games as a rookie, him having less than 1,100 yards would be a disappointing rookie year. That is assuming he plays all 17 games, of course. But the Cardinals upgrading with MHJ at receiver wasn't the only position they addressed, not just in the draft, but in free agency too. The Cardinals couldn't stop the run last year. Period. They allowed the most rushing yards as a defense, and opponents ran the ball 521 times on them in 2023, which was also the most in the NFL. A big reason for that was simple: Arizona couldn't stop the run, and opposing offenses knew it. So Arizona drafted Missouri's Darius Robinson in the 1st round and went out and signed defensive tackle Justin Jones in free agency and Bilo Nichols in free agency too. Now, are any of these guys going to be the best in the league in 2024? No, but the Cardinals' run defense won't, or shouldn't at least, be as bad as it was in 2023. I really think Arizona is one of the biggest sleepers heading into 2024 because nobody is really talking about them, and the only thing that's been in the news recently is Marvin Harrison Jr. and Fanatics. I also think Arizona improved by bringing in Florida State's Trey Benson with their 3rd round pick, and that he and James Conner will be a very good duo throughout the year. They also brought in Sean Murphy-Bunting in free agency, and I really like what the Cardinals are building. We mentioned this during the Seahawks video a few days ago, which I recommend checking out, but I really think the NFC West will be one of the best divisions in all of football this year. I don't expect Arizona to win 12 or 13 games, of course, but I think they will be a very difficult team to beat week in and week out. They are a team that is very much on the rise. Next up may be a surprising one, but it's the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee finished the 2023 season with a 6-11 record and missed the playoffs for the second consecutive year. It was a pretty frustrating year, as even in a year where they only won 6 games, they still had some incredibly high highs, like absolutely dominating the Bengals in Week 4, or the Will Levis debut against Atlanta, or even the comeback win against the Dolphins in a Week 14 game on Monday night. Now, I made a video about the Titans a few months ago, and it was titled, "What Are the Tennessee Titans Doing?" And it was after they fired head coach Mike Vrabel, and I had a lot of questions about where this organization was headed. Now that most of the offseason has taken place, and we know what their goals were entering the offseason, and how they went about achieving those goals, I think they are one of the most improved teams heading into 2024. Now, I will be honest here and say I still have questions with this team at the receiver position moving forward, as DeAndre Hopkins will be 32 at the start of the 24 season, and Tyler Boyd will turn 30 during the season. But in the thought of most improved rosters, without factoring in what they're going to do beyond the 2024 season, Tennessee certainly applies for today's video. Not only did they bring in 2 veteran options for Will Levis to throw the ball to, but they also improved the offensive line by bringing in Lloyd Cushenberry in free agency and selecting Alabama's J.C. Latham with the number 7 overall pick. The biggest thing with the Titans and Will Levis moving forward was they had to give him a chance to succeed. Not a chance to start NFL games and to fulfill a childhood dream, but an actual chance to succeed in the National Football League. Will's rookie season was incredibly frustrating due to a variety of things that were out of his control, like the offensive line and like the receivers he was throwing to last year, which was honestly a carryover from his time at Kentucky back in 2022. I will be releasing a video soon on Levis's rookie year because his rookie year in a lot of ways is almost impossible to evaluate. And honestly, that was what a lot of the Titans' 2024 offseason came down to, was giving their hopeful quarterback of the future a chance to succeed. But Tennessee didn't just give their quarterback a chance to succeed this year. They also improved their defensive line after losing Denico Autry in free agency by bringing in the big fella T'Vondre Sweat from Texas with their second-round pick. A lot of people thought this was an overdraft because of some concerns from Sweat in the pre-draft process, but if he works out, nobody's going to bring those concerns up, and he will be a good player in this defense. He is an absolute mountain of a man at over 360 pounds, and I really am looking forward to watching the duo of him and Jeffrey Simmons along Tennessee's defensive line in 2024. But what was perhaps their biggest offseason move this year was bringing in corner L'Jarius Sneed through a trade with the Chiefs. All Tennessee had to do was give up a 2025 third, and then of course pay him, but Sneed is a damn good corner, and he had one of the biggest plays of the entire 2023 season when he forced a fumble on Ravens rookie receiver Zay Flowers in the AFC Championship game. Sneed is going to make a big impact for the Titans, not just on the football field, but in the locker room too, and be a leader for a few years. I'm sure Titans fans are probably saying, well, this is quite the change in attitude from where you were a few months ago, but what I will say is this. I like the improvements the Titans made this offseason, but I don't think they're going to go to the AFC Championship game or make a deep run this year. I would also imagine most Titans fans feel that way too. I think it's going to be a gradual improvement, and I still have concerns for what their plan is at receiver after the 24 season, but speaking strictly from 2023 to 2024, the Titans are one of the most improved rosters in the NFL. Next up is the Chicago Bears for a few reasons. Obviously, they added Caleb Williams in the draft, but it's more than just adding a very good quarterback prospect. That alone would improve a lot of rosters across the league, and that would make nearly any team eligible for a most improved video over the course of an offseason, let alone on a team that won 7 games last year and on a team that improved over the course of the 2023 season, and for a team that allowed just 93 points over the final 6 games of the year. This technically doesn't apply because it was a midseason trade, but they also brought in Montez Sweat last year, who was a big addition for the Bears down the stretch of the 2023 season. The Chicago Bears only had 5 draft picks in the 2024 draft and even sacrificed some 2025 draft capital so they could move up and get Austin Booker on day 3 of the 2024 draft. But if you asked any current NFL GM if they could have Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze with their top 2 selections in the 2024 draft in what was one of the more loaded drafts in any of the past 4 or 5 without giving up a 2025 first, all of them would answer yes. Now, within the Rome Odunze selection, the benefits of drafting Rome means you also have a good duo of the future in DJ Moore and Rome, as DJ will play the season at just 27 years old, but you also get at least a season, maybe 2, maybe 3 of a trio of DJ, Rome, and of course, Keenan Allen. The Bears giving Caleb Williams this situation as the number 1 overall pick is not an exaggeration to say. For Caleb, this is the best situation a number 1 overall pick has ever walked into. Now, Caleb obviously will get a lot of Justin Fields comparisons throughout his career, at least early on. Not from a stylistic standpoint, of course, but from a success standpoint. Obviously, by having the wide receiver trio and, of course, Caleb Williams, that is what's going to get talked about most for the 2024 Bears season preview. But what I also want to include is they added running back DeAndre Swift and safety Kevin Byard in free agency, and those are 2 good veteran additions. And with the Bears going 7-10 last year with not great quarterback play at times, whether it was from Justin Fields or Tyson Bagent, I don't think it's unreasonable to say the Bears can get to the postseason this year. Now, to address one thing that I know will come up in the comments, me saying the Bears can get to the postseason and me releasing a video a week or 2 weeks ago at this point on the Texans hype train needing to slow down are 2 different things. The Texans video was not addressed to the normal Texans fan that has went through it over the past few years and that is excited to see their team play. It was not addressed to that person. It was addressed to the individual that's like, you know what, let's throw out the regular season, let's throw out the first 2 rounds, and fast forward to Chiefs-Texans in the AFC Championship game because Stroud is going into Arrowhead and beating Mahomes. It was addressed to that individual, and not the normal Texans fan that's excited to see the development of CJ and D'Amico and Nico and Stephon Diggs in his first year as a Texan. It was not addressed to that guy, but I did want to clear that up because I'm sure that would come up in the comments, but I do think the Bears were without a doubt one of the most improved teams from 2023 to 2024. Now, from Chicago to Pittsburgh, we go to discuss the Steelers. The Steelers finished the 2023 season with a 10-7 record and made the playoffs as a wildcard team. But for as much success as the Steelers had at times throughout the 2023 season, there were times where they struggled, and struggled would be a bit of an understatement. Kenny Pickett was a bust, and they traded him this offseason, and almost any quarterback they brought in would have been an upgrade over what we saw from Kenny, especially at times throughout the 2023 season. While I don't think anyone expects Russell Wilson to turn the clock back and to be an MVP candidate, bringing him in on a 1-year deal is tremendous value for the Steelers, and even bringing in Justin Fields for that matter too. Yes, they traded Deontay Johnson, but they drafted Roman Wilson in the 3rd round, and I made a video a few weeks ago about their draft class, which certainly applies to how much the Steelers improved this offseason. There's a chance they drafted 3 starters along their offensive line from this class alone, and they also added Patrick Queen, Deshaun Elliott, and Cordarrelle Patterson in free agency. Cordarrelle Patterson being brought in, especially with the kickoff returns, is a bigger addition than people may initially realize. Now, I have mentioned before that I thought the Steelers overpaid for Queen, and I think they did relative to the production they will receive from him, but when you're only paying Russell Wilson a little over $1 million and you have most of your offensive line on the rookie scale contracts, along with George Pickens and Pat Freiermuth still on the rookie deals, I think it's okay to overpay a little bit. And I think it's especially okay when the Steelers improve their roster as much as they did this offseason. The Texans and Panthers are certainly applicable teams for today, and if you want to include the Texans because they brought in guys like Danielle Hunter and Stephon Diggs amongst others, especially the guys from the Titans, be my guest. But I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like and subscribe, as only about 39% of people watching are subscribed, and it helps the channel tremendously. Also, check out the Football Analysis Podcast. There is more content over there, and if you like this, you will love the pod. Until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.